I'll think the other reading was actually second bottom at one point, and I put it out because like. Completely, that's right. And yeah. I've never. Oh, yeah, that match up to having beatboxing. Yeah. Yeah, that's the training for all that. Yeah, I was one of these spots, like, take that away. Yeah, I heard. I've got to do them. Yeah. He was upset at they were all in slow. Just like, you know, so yeah, it was really, he was. Man. That little there. Now they let everybody else, but Walter really don't. Yeah. Definitely brings you high emissions. Oh, oh. Oh, against that, yeah, again, yeah. He's still in the whole. You can tell he doesn't keep very much with the and I just want to 40. I thought he had a big. Yeah. Exactly. You go to the one? Yeah, he's not from back. He's just I mean, he helped us through that. At least he can get finished. Yeah, exactly. They can be good. Yeah, people yeah, yeah, there was never. No, anyone wouldn't be on. Yeah. Say Bobby. Yeah. Where'd she go? I work Saturday as well. I'm supposed to work Saturday. Yeah, I work big blue cafe. I work Sunday as well. It's not.
I think you're right. Because I need to less. Okay, so today the chapter, yeah, we didn't finish already a lot, but this Wednesday is exam. So if you see, I already posted your truth line. It has a important mark, so you can focus. But I think it's very makes sense. Yeah. And another one, I posted lab 3, lab 4. But if you are in person lab, you do not need to. I just manually do your scores. But online and student who absent in person student, you should complete that one. But I recommend you after exam 1. Doesn't make sense. Yeah, 2 is a little bit far, not too far, but I think you already watched video and already the documentation. I just ask you yes or no questions. It's very simple. But still, very after exam 1, you can. So any question about lab 3 and lab 4, and lab 5, T3 is top one. So lab 3, lab 4 traditional lab is right. Actually, lab 5 is traditional also, but we didn't really use. So this is 5-minute exercise, but 10-minute rest. And you try another 5 minutes using another exercise intensity using bar. So we'll see your maximum. Very challenging. You will sweat a lot. You will sweat a lot. So 5-minute exercise and 10-minute break. So I'm just thinking about how about 3 people rotated. So you can test 3 people at the same time, is right? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So this case, I do not ask you to measure blood pressure and heart rate. IP, no, just performance. Yeah, doesn't that case is important. And we use the Morocco bike using what? But sometimes if you go to the commercial gym, they will level is right, level, not what entire. So you can use that this approaching to the commercial bike at the gym. Right? So it doesn't make sense. I think it is very challenging. So how about hopefully Wednesday sleep early and eat dinner early and drink a lot of water. Doesn't make sense. Oh no, I think it's 1 o'clock is right. So at least 3 hours before do not eat. Doesn't make sense. Yeah, but you should be hydrated. Challenge, and you're surprised.
Just 3 students for that day?
Oh, no. Okay. And very impossible, right? We have 4 to 5 bikes, right? Multiply 3. So how about running? Next test, some test doesn't work. 1.5 minutes, okay. But how about bike? There are no 1.5 mile bike tests, right? So this test, even it was developed in 1969, still this is best protocol. But right now, many people do not use. It's disappeared, right? Yeah. But it's really important, and you like it, and you're surprised how tough. But still, for cardiorespiratory fitness. So today, chapter 3, and we already did some. Is right. So I think this is the last PowerPoint slide. That's fine. Yes. So physical fitness, there are health related physical fitness and skill related physical fitness. Is right. Did you remember component, right? This is our classes for fitness A and B focus health related fitness component. Did you remember 5 over there? So do not really think about speed and auxiliary reaction time. That one is another classes. Yeah, doesn't make sense. We talk about fitness here as health fitness component. So this simple health fitness test, but there was one member they couldn't pass his general fitness test. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Yeah. But did you remember I said when I was in Korea, right? I thought American SWAT, like how fast, how powerful, but they couldn't pass health fitness component. So doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. That was big problem. This is why many police officers they must use gun. Doesn't make sense because they are not fit. It makes sense. It's not my opinion. It's a Sergeant Packer, our campus police officer, right? He said, if they are not fit, they use gun more. Doesn't make sense. See how our job is important, is right? We should teach is our police officer. So how about I not to spend too much time, just simply. So first, cardiorespiratory endurance is right. Yeah, doesn't make sense. We use the good math. So how about what's here? Especially coronary heart disease is right. Is related to high cardiorespiratory fitness level. So what does it mean? Is the good message right? The more critical term is performance of 1.5 micron. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. If you are really good, right, you do not worry about the cardiorespiratory fitness disease, right? Cardiac coronary heart disease is right. But sometimes we focus too much physical activity. Just increase physical activity is not enough. We need this one, cardiorespiratory fitness level. Doesn't make sense. So how can we increase? How can we increase this fitness level? We need a test, is right. So how about left 3, left 4? We did graded exercise test and submax exercise test. Did you remember how much we spend time, energy, and people, equipment, right? But it's not really great, right? So 1.5 micron test as well as this Thursday, our bike test is important to assess this one. After assess, you should make exercise program, right? Yeah. We are we should go far further, right? And muscular fitness, that is a little bit tricky. Please watch here. Our textbook, muscular fitness is strength and endurance. But however, HSN is include muscular power. And again, our textbook include bone strength. So it really depends on textbook or association. But how about our textbook include strength, endurance, and bone strength, and expand a little bit power, right? But you traditionally focus strength and endurance. Doesn't make sense, right? And to tell the truth, I'm really expert in this field, but this class we focus cardiorespiratory fitness. So I do not really talk about that much, but still I would like to talk about bone strength. So here, this is graph, this is age. The sky color is the blue, the man, and orange color is a woman. See the bone mass peak. Man and woman peak is around 30 to 40 years old, but man's case is really high, but woman's case is a little low because of hormone. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So essentially for woman, woman should increase bone density as much as possible, should increase their peak, but after peak, they should maintain their bone density, right? Doesn't make sense. To do this one, they need 75% of 1 RM and 4 to 4 minutes, recovery time and 1% within training. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Yeah. But there is kind of lip service, because most of people teach women who train on their own self-select intensity, it means without trainer, their intensity usually 38 to 48% of 1 RM. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't. So it means it's not enough intensity to stimulate their bone density, right? So it doesn't make sense. Doesn't. And even with the trainer, with the personal trainer, They exercise intensity around 43 to 57% of their 1RM. It's not enough, right? Yeah. First, because they didn't measure. Us too, we do not measure our 1RM. So this is why. Doesn't make sense. Just get, today I exercise, but actually it's not exercise, that is just physical activity, but they believe they exercise. To say exercise, we should measure our 1RM, and using percent of 1RM, we can set up the exercise intensity. Especially bone density, we need at least 75% of 1RM. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. But to tell the truth, how about include male and female students today, right? Who measure your 1RM intensity, right? Not many, is right? Not many. Is right? Not many. Right. So that case, who really tries 75% 1RM? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So it means even our KINS major, we do not really practice. We do not really practice. So as a KINS major, maybe how about some like a sky thing? It's a research change, not my field, but still you are KINS major, right? So at least you should do. Doesn't make it. Doesn't make it. It's not for you for to teach or for educate or just practice to show that. I'm a good example of this. So here, only 7% of women has self-selected at least 75% of 1RM. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. How about this person who do not exercise until to failure? Maybe volume is not enough. Intensity is enough, but do not exercise until to failure. Is volume is not enough. Doesn't make sense. So maybe 0% of a woman can exercise for muscle density. I can say like this. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. See, our job is how important. How important. Doesn't make sense. So it's time to call your parents, especially mom, right? I think they already decrease for density, right? So you should measure your 1RM, or you think about maybe some max test to measure 1RM. So how to set up 75% 1RM, or at least you can say physical activity and exercise different. That doesn't make sense. If your bone test is low, right, you need the rigid training, or you need the rigid trainer, or you can have that, right? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Any questions? Any questions? This is exercise approach. So we talk about cardiovascular fitness and muscular fitness about bone strength. Third one is body weight and body composition. And another one, did you remember, is not healthy body. Optimal body is important. Is right. If we focus, what is this? If we focus fitness, right? Cardiovascular fitness, muscular strength, muscular endurance, how about bone strength and muscular power and flexibility and body composition. So how about body composition is affected by its fitness component, is right? Is right? Doesn't make sense. So using this fitness component, you can figure out optimal your body mass, is right? Is right. So it's much better than healthy body mass. So without this kind of fitness component, to change body composition, we just eat more, eat less, is right. And another one, which kind of food you should eat and do not eat, is right. But this is fitness. So we need not healthy, optimal body mass to improve our cardiorespiratory, muscular strength, muscular endurance. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So this is class chapter 4. When I talk about cardiorespiratory fitness, and I show you how to optimize your body mass. Doesn't make sense. It's much beyond the concept than healthy body mass. Is right. Yes. So body composition, like this is represent body fat. And last one is flexibility. We will not cover this one because 456B cover. How about why not just see what is the flexibility? I think you remember this.
Your share. Maybe what I say. Just the body
if you take KINS 4PC, our 2TA bring the drum. So we can test you like this, right? So Ricardo, are you ready? Right. That is flexibility. But this class we focus cardiorespiratory fitness as well as body composition. But flexibility is really has potential to be a trainer. So actually, I cannot say it like this. Using flexibility, you can touch your client. It's positive one. Especially PNF stretch. Did you hear about PNF stretch? PNF stretch, you must understand the physiology. Right? So this is important for fitness. But for health, fitness, and the health fitness, cardiorespiratory strength, endurance, and body composition is really important. Flexibility cannot compare this component, but it's great for trainer. So that's the truth, right? So it doesn't make sense. How is your case?
I need a stretch.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, next one is our textbook. Did you remember our textbook? Its author is my grandmother professor, right? So they focus balance. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. This is a very unique part, but it will be covered by KINS 4PC, right? So it's balance, right? It doesn't make sense. Balance. Ability to keep body center of gravity within base of support when maintaining a static position, performing voluntary movement, or reacting to external disturbance. Right? So all of them is balance, but doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. How about this one's balance too? So I didn't know the music there, right? There is balance, is right. So where is it? See, reacting to external disturbance, right? Sometimes we could stability, right? But it's balance too. And how about this good balance test? Is a field test, or this is not the one, this kind of test. I don't know you heard about this kind of test. It's a field test, this kind of. It's a gold standard, you should be using computer, right? So using one foot, right? Make a balance, right? And I just push and push, try to as far as possible. And measuring this distance doesn't make sense. That kind of approach. Even that one. Yeah. That's it. And measuring that distance. So it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. But so this is for KINS 4PC. Yeah. But how about our quiz? Quiz actually exercise physiology already covered these 5 fitness components, right? So how about your level? Your level, and you learn more. So how about cardiorespiratory fitness? Bootstrap is gold standard. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. It is important. But the problem is, after graduation, you do not have any chance using metabolic curve, right? So this is why I kept saying 1.5 mile test. And next one is body composition, hydrostatic weighting. Right? We have our humerus lab, right? But however, there is kind of lie to tell the truth. If Dr. was said, underweight in our humerus lab is gold standard, there is a lie. Because measuring underweight, we should measure our residual volume. Yeah. This is a long volume inside, right? But we do not have that machine to measure that residual volume. So actually, using just under the tank, but predict residual volume using equation is not gold standard. That doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So under the tank in our humerus lab, actually the error range is the same with skin fold. But with measuring residual volume is really expensive. Yeah, so maybe I think 30 or 40,000 equipment we need to buy. But as a human process director, I do not want to buy that expensive equipment just measuring residual volume, right? That doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Because using his performance, we can optimize our body mass. Why do we need this kind of body composition? Right? Doesn't make sense. But anyway, gold standard is hydrotraining or DEXA, right? Doesn't make sense. And fitness muscle 100 tests, actually there is too general. But anyway, we just focus cardiovascular body composition, so muscular fitness 100 tests, but actually we need more tests. And bone, using DEXA, we can measure. Flexibility, ROM, and balance. I think you see already this one at the biomechanical laboratory, right? So that kind of assessment. So that is criteria measurement. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Any question? Any question? Oh, so this is important, right? So it's immediate kind of quiz question, as well as exam question. And this is our table, right? So it's more detailed, right? Which kind of test, right? It's reference method, they show it, right? But actually, this table doesn't have balance, so I'm just using the old one. So this is the one edition before one. But how about I would like to ask this kind of test, which kind of like a criteria method? So it doesn't make sense. So this column and this column is important. This row is important. It doesn't make sense. Oh, I'm sorry. How about this one? Maybe both of them. See, body composition. Under the tank, you will learn, under the tank, do not measure your percent body fat. Underweight is to measure your body density. It doesn't make sense. And to calculate percent body fat, we need another equation. So there are a lot of errors. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So many times we believe, oh, looks great, there is gold standard, but there is not a gold standard. So it's here. And next one, how about if you test all of the tests one day, you need the sequences, right? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So how about resting blood pressure and heart rate? It should be first, right? Because you need to rest. Doesn't make sense. After test, you can test body composition. And after body composition, you can test cardiovascular endurance, for example, 1.5 mile run test. After that, you can test muscular fitness. So finally, flexibility. Do you agree? Do you agree? How about warm-up? We always do flexibility as a warm-up, right? So that is not correct. So flexibility is not warm-up. It should be the last one. That is perfect for ending of the test flexibility. So doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. This is because if we test all of them. But however, sometimes if muscular fitness is more important than cardiovascular endurance, we can exchange the order. But anyway, this is the sequence. It's our textbook as well as HSN is recommended. So doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Yeah, it will be our quiz question. And room temperature, room humidity important too. So our human purpose lab is around 70 Fahrenheit, right? Doesn't make sense. And humidity, just constant humidity is okay. And we need some privacy. And it means body, did you remember I attached your electrode? It's just open space, right? That's not great. Did you remember? I put his electrode is open space, isn't that good? We need some room which to go there, right? And keep all liquid calibrate and in good condition. This is important to prepare the area in advance. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So I believe if you come to our 1 o'clock lab class, Dr. Gong is already there, is it right? Like 20 minutes or 30 minutes earlier, and to check the it doesn't make sense. Yeah. So next one is here. Because Glutamate is important, but we cannot really use Glutamate except using metabolic curve. So we should decide some kind of like field test. But to decide field test, you should think about this validity. Some kind of field test which has strong validity to Glutamate test using metabolic curve. We should choose that kind of test is right. So this is validity. So validity means assess accuracy of measurement, right? And comparison against reference or criteria method. So it means some field test for cardiovascular fitness reference method is a Glutamate test using metabolic curve. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Yeah. And using this one, we have some kind of validity number, right? So this case we call validity coefficient and R, Y, and Y dash. This is a validity coefficient. And why criteria like Bultmann test using metabolic curve? But why this is kind of field test doesn't make sense. So coefficient between Bultmann and field test, it should be around 0.8. Doesn't make sense. It should be around 0.8. So how about here? So it's a practical way. Right? So this is the protocol, right? Graded SSS protocol. If you see there are numbers, right? So based on R number, you can choose the quadratic equation. Right? Doesn't make sense. Well, I'm sorry, it's a quadratic protocol. Right? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't. How about Bruce protocol? I think we use Bruce protocol for Patrick. See, Bruce, there are three of them: active and sedentary man. Second one, active and sedentary woman, and cardiac patient and elderly person. So this is why we use active and sedentary man. But if you see our numbers, 0.98, this is right. It's great. This is why you use Bruce protocol, right? So it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Any question? Any question? It's great, but problem is you should remember Bruce protocol is inclined should be 20%. So sometimes some athlete, some student can more than 50%. So most of commercial gym and home gym training has only 10 or 50%. So it's great because high R number, but it's not really practical because of percentage. So doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So based on R number is right. Oh, that is great. But however, next one. Oh, how about before to go to next slide? See here, SCEE. See, it's not only R number. We should consider SCEE. See, that one too. C mean is here. That is standard error of estimate. C, right? Or method prediction error, right? Smaller is better. So for example, like under the tank. Under the tank, C is around plus minus 1.5%. So it means using under the tank. Oh, how about Patrick? How about if Patrick's percent body fat using under the tank, under weighting, 12% mean C is plus minus 1.5%. So his percent body fat is range. So it can be 13.5% or 11 pounds. Yeah, 10.5%. So it doesn't make sense. This is C. How about if C is like 3%? It's too big, right? So under weighting with residual volume is around 1.5%, but without residual volume is 3%. This is skin for C. So under the tank without residual volume is very similar using skin for percent body fat prediction. Is right? Doesn't make sense. This is kind of situation because expensive and maintenance is very expensive also. Is right? But like this. So doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So how about here? Oh, here. Could you see it's too small in here, right? So there are some kind of tests, right? See here, group prediction error, that is C. It's less than 5.0 mg/kg per minute. And strength 1RM test, yeah, less than 2.0 kg, but like this is right. But there are another one, this is group, it's average. But how about there are another error, is individual prediction error, and I'll talk about this one later. Doesn't make sense, doesn't make sense. So I think it's here again. Could you see it's here equation? The left one is R and C number. So based on this R and C number, which protocol is that? Which protocol we will choose? How about another one of our population? Just R and C. Oh, which one? Oh. So 0.92, 2.5, 0.94, 2.20, right? 0.98, 3.35, 0.91, 2.7, 0.82, 4.9, 0.92. I think it's Patrick's view is C, is right? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. R number, but this is higher, but that C is lower. Right? Doesn't make sense. In that case, we can see the population. So maybe so. Active and settlement. Oh, this is why. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So I think a var get active and settlement and over. I think you can use that too. But if you check that protocol, or how about why not? If you have a book, right? Please see that the Barclays protocol is really practical or not practical. You can see. You can see. You can figure out why Takuba choose this protocol. And this is the example how to get the R number, right? Doesn't make sense. So how about like this? So first one is this is real data, I think in 2018. So using under the tank, under the weighting, this is measuring 10% body fat using under the weighting, but without initial volume, just yeah. And this is how about I think it's a skin fold. So under the weighting 15%, but using skin fold 80%. Doesn't make sense. But under weighting is kind of gold standard, is right? Doesn't make sense. So we want to see the R number is between under weighting and skin fold. See, under weighting 10%, but skin fold 12%. Under 9%, skin fold 8%. Doesn't make sense. Yeah. So we have 12 students, 10 students number using Excel. And how about there are functions? Could you see? Pearson correlation coefficient. I think you know it, right? This is simple statistics. And you can use right Pearson function and click under the weighting number and field test number and click. Oh, 0.96 is good or bad? Good. It's good, is right? 0.8 is good, but 0.96 is really good. Doesn't make sense. It's good. Yeah, but however, we cannot stop there because we need to see, is it right? We need to see number, standard of error estimation. So clear, I just type C and that we need standard deviation. This is the function name, STEYX. So click and 2.78, 2.78. It is good, yeah. 2.8%, 2.8%. Yeah, you see, it's very similar, right? 30%. And R square mean is another statistic you must include. So 0.93 is still good. And you will learn more measurement evaluation course about this one. And you should make graph also. So please watch here. As a trainer, you need to have a very high level trainee, is right? Usually that trainee should be like lawyer, governor, president, that kind of people, is right? Not just ordinary people. You cannot get any money from there. Doesn't make sense, right? Yeah. I'm poor people, right? I cannot pay for that training, right? Yeah, doesn't make sense. You really have at least professional, that kind of people. So to work with them, you need approach like this. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Without this one, yeah, they do not work with you, right? Doesn't make sense. So how about see? Just I make a graph and make a trend line, right? So to make a trend line, and I already posted, so you can use this one. Right? So like this. And how about a little bit more? This is standard deviation, right? So like this. So how about this one? So R scale is 0.93, but R number is 0.96, and C is 2.78 is right. So that's perfect. Doesn't mean. Even you work lawyer, right? Still you cannot use under weighting, right? You need to use standard this skin fold. So that case you should show your trainee, right? So this is kind of C and R number, and I use this thing, right? So doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Now, as a graduate student guy, you need to approach like this one. Good. Yeah. Yeah, put the C number. So how about quick question is like this? The ability of test to accurately measure a specific component defined. What is this? Reliability or validity? What's the answer to the first question? Accurately measured. Validity is right. Validity, yeah. And how about number two? I think we already practiced. Which equation is great? The best we want to use.
Two.
Number two, do you agree? Do you agree? Yeah, yeah. See, high R number, low C. We need to use number 2. Doesn't make sense. So how about this is why. So actually, we use first protocol, right? For this one, a little bit high compared to the other protocol, but other protocol is not really practical one, so we use first protocol. The problem is, treadmill has 20% incline. Yes, this is okay. So how about like this? This is really practical one. Underweighting, I do not really proud myself to we have underweight in our human fox lab because we do not have visual measuring machine. So that's all. It's a visual volume measuring machine is around 30,000 or 40,000. It's very expensive. And maintenance expensive too. So it means if we use underweighting, we must predict our residual volume. Doesn't make sense? Doesn't make sense. Yeah. So our pattern we measure your is right. It means we actually predict your residual volume. Didn't really measure. So this case, which equation we use? I believe we use it on our human lab. Based on R value and C value and normal residual volume value, this equation is good or bad or terrible. It's terrible equations, right? So eventually, you just at that time you should be ready and measuring, but because the residual equation is terrible and we do not have residual volume machine, so under the tank is not 100%. It's great, you know. It doesn't. Yeah. But we need to practice. So our class doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Oh, this is why I put here. See, God is in the detail. The devil is in the detail. It sounds like, how about like make a video and the picture underweighting, right? Come to human purpose lab, carpoli homework. But in detail, how about me? You guys have residual volume measuring machine? No. See, this is the equation we use. Terrible equation. Yeah. Next one is reliability. We talk about validity. Next one is reliability. See, assesses repeatability of measurement. So, hard to mention about why not skin fold is right, but the problem is skin fold reliability is not. It doesn't make sense. Even same person today and tomorrow is a little bit different. If you are not trained, doesn't make sense. If you are trained, maybe reliability is okay. But most of people, it's always different, always different. So looking for consistency and stability of a score, comparison of multiple measures. So where is here? See, poor reliability is a poor validity. So skin fold is not too bad, but if you are not good capacity to measure your skin fold, it means reliability is not good. Finally, it's become poor validity. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. How about here? Good reliability is not always good validity. Do you think it makes sense? High test, we test reliability for the student which is test, but this test has poor validity as a measure of rollback flexibility in women. Doesn't make sense. Serenity is great, but the problem is it's not really good for rollback of the woman's case. Maybe this is for their hamstring. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't. Yeah. Any question? Or do you have any like example of good reliability, but good, not good validity? How? Yes.
So basically, it's not relevant, and it's not a.
Exactly. Yes. How about body mass scale? It's a 65 kilogram, always 65 kilograms, right? But we cannot predict percent body fat using our body mass. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. So body scale is great for reliability for body mass, but it's poor validity for percent body fat. That doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Yeah. Next one is test reliability. Test. Oh yeah, sorry. It's going. Test reliability is a coefficient. The number is a little bit different. It's different. Yeah. Symbol R x1 x2. But that score tested by same person. So I test today and I test tomorrow. It should be same person. 0.9 is great. That doesn't make sense. Validity 0.8 is great, but reliability should be 0.9. So the magnitude of reliability coefficient cannot exceed 1.0. Do you agree? This is coefficient. So 1 mean is 100%, right? Only one is true. True. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Oh, cannot exist. Cannot exist. True. Cannot exist. It is possible for tests to have good reliability but poor validity. True is right. We already have existence. Sedan reach is not good for low back. Maybe hamstring for woman. And I believe Wingate test is right. Wingate test is great for muscular power test. Muscular power test is right. But then after graduate, Wingate device is not anymore available for you after graduate. So we need some kind of test, have good validity, good reliability, reflect the Wingate test. Doesn't make sense. This is why our human personal vision study found 20% incline 8 mile power treadmill running, 20% 8 mile treadmill running, and we can figure out the time, how long is right. For example, like this. How about somebody 100 kilogram and 8 mile power? 8 mile power means around 4 meters per second. And incline 20% incline. And time and second is right. So using this one, we can calculate work or joule, or we can calculate power and watt. So does it make sense? Is right? See, using this protocol, we can calculate power. For Wingate test, we made the power is right. So after graduate, Wingate test is not anymore available. So you can use this test to measuring your client or patient or athlete's power. Doesn't make sense. But to use this test, we must test something is right, and we must something test this one right. Doesn't make sense. So to test, it should have relationships. So we must test which one? Accuracy of one. Validity as well as reliability. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Yeah. So if you develop some kind of protocol, you always develop validity as well as reliability, and it should be approved. And you can use this protocol. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't. Yeah. So this is kind of a test. So 20% 8 mile power, some researchers, they found it has strong validity. It's great. But the problem is at the commercial gene, because commercial gene doesn't have 20% incline. So our lab tried to 15% incline. Please watch here. How about this is decreased 5% is right? Speed should be increased, right? 9.1 mile power. If we ask Dr. how can you do that? Using HSM equation. So 20% 8 mile power, we already set up. It has a high validity with Wingate test, but it's not available at the commercial gene. So we tried 15%, 9.1 mile power, and to measure validity. Doesn't make sense. And 15% 9.1 power test one more time, we measure reliability. That's right. And both of them is high. So we can use, yeah, doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So Peter, right? Do you know it's Peter? I think it's our seniors. It's graduate student. Peter. See, it's not Peter, right? I think it's another student. See here. 1, 2, 3, 4. If we just measuring his time, right? And we can calculate power. But this test, it should be using this test, we must make exercise program. So this is why he tried 4 sets. So for example, I don't know time. Yeah, this first set, how about 40 seconds, 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 10 seconds. If he did 40, 30, 20, 10 seconds, please watch it. If he did, because of fatigue occurred, that case, if this person wants increase power or increase speed, please watch here. So how about this is a performance, and to increase power, we must decrease speed. Increase speed, we must decrease power. So it means incline, right? So it doesn't make sense. I don't know you understand. So based on this time decrease, you can calculate you can manipulate your speed. For example, this is 15%, 9.1 mile power is right. See, I want to maintain power. That case is 15% fixed. But 9.1 can be decreased 876, right? But maybe this client can do 40, 40, 40, 40 later. How about speed is important? 9.1 mile power fixed. And we can decrease incline first 15%, 12%, 10%, 9%. How can we calculate this percent decrement and speed decrement based on performance? Doesn't make sense. It's too complicated. So this is for sprint, so I not cover. Case 425 will cover, right? So this is one. So how to make this? How useful? But to use this one, we need reliability test, validity test. Which one is gold standard? Is ring gauge test. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So this article is already posted. So if you want to read more, you can just one. It's not there for you. Next one is test objectivity. See, it's even choose test is not easy, right? It's not easy. So if you come to the lab 3, lab 4, lab 5, doctor will always prepare protocol. It's not just overall thinking, right? So it's like literature review and check their R value, C value. Finally, good protocol. So doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So test objectivity is the inter-test reliability. See, this is different. Multiple technicians. Reliability is one tester, but objectivity is a multiple technician. Doesn't make sense. This is why R1, 2, 1 means test 1, 2 means test 2, right? Test number 2, right? Doesn't make sense. 0.9 is great. So validity 0.8, but reliability and objectivity we need at least 0.9. Yeah, doesn't make sense. So inter-tester reliability is also known as which one? Objectivity. Right. Yeah, doesn't make sense. Your question is right. So to choose predicate equation, right? So some equation you should choose, some equation you should check if they use gold standard reference method, like Bulletin test using metabolic curve, underweighting, and large sample size, large sample to predict variable ratio. Mean how about skin fold? 3-side skin fold. You learn 3-side skin fold for men, chest, abdominal, thigh. Doesn't make sense. See, each side it increases the number of the subject. Doesn't make sense. We call large sample to predict variable ratio. It should be high. And large R and small c, we are talking about this, right? Applicability prediction equation. Are there any equation? Is right. And cross validation with a small error mean cross validation. Sometimes use this equation using another population. Doesn't make sense. Oh, how about for fun? So sometimes we use 3 sides of our body measuring. But how about very interestingly, for children, we use only 2 sides, skin fold. Can you get where? This is not my opinion. Is we use one equation, only 2 sides we use for children. To measure children's percent body fat, we must measure only 2 sides. Can you guess where? Abdominal time. Okay, any other student? I think it's a great idea, right? But actually, no.
Scapula.
Scapula, yeah, and
Calf.
calf is right. Yes. Yeah. It's interesting, is right? Calf. One more side. Twice. What a misunderstanding is our bodies, right? But it developed 1970. So at that time, maybe our body is totally okay to measuring tricep and calf. We can measure certain body. But right now, our body is different, is right? More central obesity, is right? So it should be updated, is right? But still, we use 2 sides. This is why so many times I said, listen. We expect our children, okay, can you just measure? You should develop another side, right? Doesn't make sense. I can tell them, I agree with you. You said abdominal and thigh. Yes, I agree with you. Right? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Yeah. So see, we just talk like this. So why they choose only two sides? And when you choose standard equation, this is kind of like your concern. What reference method will you use? When we already talk about how large was the sample, it means at least 100 to 400 subjects. So it doesn't make sense. Only 20 subjects, no, we cannot do it. And what is the ratio of sample size variable? 20 to 40 subjects per predictor variable. For example, three size skin fold, chest, abdominal time is at least 60 to 100 of the minute, doesn't it? But why is that? And what the size multiple correlation coefficient? Yeah, R higher than 0.8. And when you choose equations, for example, how about skin fold is right? There are population-specific skin fold equations. For example, right, like Asian and white and black, but there are different size. However, 1.5 mile run test or 1 mile test. Did I ask race run? No, it's right. Everything is right. So general doesn't make sense. Doesn't. For percent body fat, we need population-specific equation. And another one, skin fold has Jackson et al. Manual as well as anthropometric standardized reference manual. So for example, Jackson, they use vertical fold for their abdomen. But however, anthropometric standardized reference, they use horizontal fold. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. This is different, right? Yeah, this is why devil is in the detail. Right? If you view the detail, very different style, different like a word in our fitness industry. And what the prediction equals cross-validated another sample. For example, rapport working test is for general population, but some researchers, they use women older than 65 years old, right? So in that case, there are any evidence, right? And the last one is other limit of agreement acceptable. The limit of agreement, another name is Glenn-Hartman plot, and I show you. So to show that one, and how about I want to show you this test, Kaminari test. This is the kind of soccer players test to measure their percent. I'm sorry, it's a full max value. It's one of our graduate students, right? After one, when I was 179 pounds. Right now, 165, minimum 129. So make a cone. Yeah. And start first cone and increase distance. The time is the same. It's kind of a circular, but a little bit different. It's a Brazilian they develop because they are expert in soccer players, right? They develop for their soccer player. Right? So it's kind of a test. Oh, after warming up, I think it's a 10 second or 20 second. It should come first cone. Here already 3, yeah, and 4, and 5, and 6, right? So this kind of a test. Yeah. So this kind of a test. Excuse me. Yeah. So I think I post this article too. So if you want to that test or what happened to that test, you can see. So using that test, using average and standard deviation, and the difference of standard deviation, we can have this kind of limit. So this is the brute max value. If you see a zero mean is an average is around 45. Right here. So how about this family test? I don't know the average at this time, but this one is plus minus limit is around 2.25%. So 2.25% is this test is a predict like C level. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So how to do right? It means smaller is better, is right? But this is important because C is using average score, but this is every other people. So how about this is 95% limit? So it means 19 to 20 people, 19 people for 20 people can within plus minus 2.25%. That is the limit range. So we call blend argument plot with 90% limit of agreement is a practice. So doesn't make sense. I believe when you check some like the journal article, you think this graph is right. That doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So low is zero. So how to calculate? What is average plus 2 standard deviation or average minus 2 standard deviation? So we can get this number. So it means journal article should report average as well as standard deviation. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So it's okay. It's okay. Using this data, you can make this graph figure out how much of this agreement, right? The agreement. So doesn't make sense. So I already showed you, right? So this one, please watch here. Average standard deviation plus 2 standard deviation or minus 2 standard deviation. So we have this kind of line, so you can figure out our this error rate, this error number. And two of them. This is the first one is another equation. This is another equation 6. Upper one is wide, is right. For low one is very small. So this equation is better. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Is it right? Is it right? It doesn't make sense. See, how about my question is like this? The larger the 95% of limit, 95% limit means is 19 per 20 people. Of agreement for fit test, the greater the likelihood that the prediction equation will accurately estimate the fitness period for your client. That doesn't make sense. How about this case? Skin fold is around 5.5%. How about PIA? Oh, I think it's around only 2%, plus minus 2%. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. How about skin fold? If you are really trained, maybe that is a little smaller, right? Doesn't make sense. PIA is machine, right? But skin fold is really depend on your training, your training setup too. So that number, right? There are many set this number. So how about based on this one, you can choose some kind of equation and protocol, and to apply this one, you need this kind of environment too. See, how about this is your client? So this Thursday, this Thursday you should be like this. This Thursday, you need appropriate clothing and you should be hydrated. And no eating, smoking alcohol or coffee 3 hours prior before, and no stretching on the day of the test, and lots of rest the night before. Doesn't make sense. This Thursday, right? I already said, and you should try. Yeah, I want everybody to participate too. So this one doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. And I already did, so I can post my video, right? You can see it. How come Dr. will sweat like water, right? And this is my one. And the tester, I prepare setup in advance. I go there 30 minutes earlier and set up. And I prepare standard procedure, you do, right? And yeah, so I did practice, right? And how about as a tester, for example, skateboard, you need to test at least 50 to 100 people, so you have some ideas. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. 10 minutes. I believe I test more than 1,000, and even metabolic curve. Good test is right using metabolic curve, using EKG and auto saturation, blood pressure. I did more than 1,000. More than 1,000. So I have a confidence. Oh, and another one, can I say like this? Work for hospital, like 1,000 people, work a lot of clinical people, very specific population of people. After 2 years, I decide it's not my place. Doesn't make sense, doesn't make sense. If you want to stay at the hospital, you should be clinical person with license. Without this one, right? It looks like white gown, looks great, it's not a good place. Yeah, this is strange right now. 2 years, not this place. And when we test, see, you should test interpretation. explain the result of the client. This is not easy one. How about, did you remember Patrick one? I think Bruce met 58.3, is right? You must explain to the Patrick. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't. If you do not explain Patrick, it means you're negligence. I test Patrick 58 is great. No, you should explain detail. See, how to do? You need to use normative value. Doesn't make sense. Using normative value, I think you should remember Patrick is 97.5 percentile rank or 92.5% rank is right. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. That case, his superior is right. This case, I do not need any exercise program to him. It's not negligent. How about if he had only 31.2, and how about this is the poor classification? That case, I should give exercise program to him, is right? Yeah, doesn't make sense. If I said, hey, 58.3, it's your grade, and lip service. We need to give something. And explain using a positive point of view. And how about like this? If Patrick is only 25 and he has 20% rank, that case, how can we keep positive point of view?
No increase fat.
Yeah, you have a lot of watching. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Whenever you exercise, the increase. Doesn't make sense. Yeah. And maintain confidence to write. Is right. So, Patrick, can I talk about your number? But thank you. Thank you. And basics, yeah, and you will learn is very detailed in chapter 4 and another chapter, but just generally today. This is basic principle of program design. When you make program design, you should concern first specificity. That doesn't make sense. If you exercise chest, you just increase chest muscle fitness, right? Not your lower leg. Right? And overall, we need increased workload. Doesn't make sense. Right? And progression gradually, systematically. And initially, lowest starting point equal B scale. So for example, like this. Right? And individuality, right? So we should be individual, right? Exercise program should be individual. Diminishing return, genetic ceiling, the rate and extent physical fitness improvement will decline as people get close to the genetic limit. So it doesn't make sense. So this case is a little bit risky. If I train Patrick already 97.5%, 92.5%, right? So if I give a really great program, maybe not increase that much. Doesn't make sense. Yeah. So that's kind of a little bit risk. So I had better talk to Patrick. Patrick, you are already great. So there are diminishing return. How about full terminology is diminishing marginal return? Spend a lot of time, but get a benefit very small because you are already reached your genetic ceiling, right? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. I have to educate him, so he will not complain me. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't. And reversibility, use it or lose it. Yeah, doesn't make sense. What is it like this? Power and strength, you lose a lot. No, its retrain is very long. But cardiovascular fitness is very short. So you should exercise, maintain your cardiovascular fitness 3 to 5 times a week. For power strength, if you want to just maintain, already train, maintain, sometime 1 week, 2 weeks is totally okay. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So for me, this semester I focus cardiovascular fitness. So I try exercise minimally. So I decide I just maintain my strength. So I just exercise 85% of 1 RM and 4 sets as many as possible and 8 minute recovery time. So usually I did 4. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So last month I did 4, and this month I did 1 time 4, 3, and after 15 days 4, 3. Okay. So bi-weekly I exercise doesn't really decrease. Doesn't make sense. But I keep focus cardiovascular fitness 3 or 4 times per day. Right? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. There is a reversibility. But each cardiovascular each fitness component are different. Any question? Any question? But you should be trained and you can maintain. Doesn't make sense. Because I have been trained and I just maintain this one. Right? And how about, I want to explain specificity, but it's already out of time, but I think this is just the example. So how about, if we have time, I'll be back. How about let's go. So for example like this, sometimes sprinter, 100 dash is their timing is not good, but maximum velocity is really good. So it sounds like, oh, I think it's really good for 200 meters, doesn't it? But when they compete 200 meters, 200 meters too long for them. It doesn't make sense. 100 meters too short, 200 too long. Because that is specificity. This is why sometime 1997, they said, I think it's Donovan Bailey, Michael Johnson is right. He got 200 meter one. He wants 100 meters. So they compete how about 150? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. That kind of approach. That is specificity. Some people really focus 100 meters, sometimes 200 too long for them. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Specificity. Posted. If you want to see resources, there are videos. No time. I already posted on your resource. So basic element access description, you will learn very detailed when we talk about chapter 4 and chapter 5, but today just generally. So mode is right, cardio fitness, which mode? Run, walk, or bike, right, is right. And how about rate of progression? This is important. Change one variable at a time. So if you increase intensity, you cannot increase duration. You cannot increase volume. Doesn't make sense. You cannot increase time and duration, intensity and time. No, you can increase only one. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense.
Let's start our code.
Excuse me.
Let's start our code.
Oh,
What is?
that is sports. So we should respect our coach. But we talk about exercise. Right? Yes.
What about if you like change like 2 but to a lesser degree? So like you want instead of going up like 2% incline and like 1 mile per hour, you're gonna like 1% incline and half a mile per hour.
I think that case you should talk to your client. So actually, one variable at a time, but why not at this time we can, it doesn't make sense, just small one. So I think that case is totally okay. Yeah. But this is kind of considered my classic one. But even you said that half percent, it means you already have this concept, right? So this is what you try. I think that case is very strong rationale. And frequency, right, intensity and duration, but it's here, please watch here. Duration is inversely related to intensity, right? So it means, how about think about like this? You can decide duration first, and you can figure out intensity. For example, I want to know my maximum for only 15 seconds, is right? How about 10 minutes? Intensity should be changed, right? Sometimes you can decide intensity first and figure out time or volume. But sometimes you measure volume first and you can figure out. For example, I want to maintain 400 kilocalories. So I try some speed, doesn't make sense. That is because inversely, duration inversely to intensity, to find intensity, sometimes you can use the volume for duration, doesn't make sense. But you will learn in detail is chapter 5. Yeah, this is I already explained. It's the same thing. This one is the same. It's a mode. And stage of progression, this is important to see. Initial concentration 4 weeks. And this is important. At that time, you should increase duration first. Right? Doesn't make sense. This is the HSN recommendation. Right? If you increase the exercise intensity first, you should say to your client first. You need increase volume, but this is there are some reasons we should increase intensity. Without that one, you must increase duration first. Right? If you increase duration, right, you cannot change your intensity, right? And improvement 4 to 5 months, here again, change one element at a time, right? Yeah, you can change. And maintenance is 6 months, right? So for me, how about like this is kind of example. Initial conditioning, maybe just 1.5 mile run test as well as long, slow distance. And how about improvement phase, constant speed, as well as various speed program. You learn And how about maintenance? We already trained, right? So it's very similar like in sports. 5 kilometer, 10 kilometer, half marathon event at the local event. So sometimes they participate sports too. But I believe many people skip this one, they just try this. That is dangerous, doesn't make sense. I was too. So during the first 2 months of a new training program of climbing the poor initial physical fitness level, we likely slow greater relative improvement and faster rate improvement than a client who is initially well trained and fit. So true effort. Yeah. And second is when older and less fit clients are in the early phase of their exercise program, generally better to increase exercise duration rather than intensity. True. True is not true. It's classic, it's classic. And right now, you want exercise adherence, right? But to tell the truth, this part is a sports psychology class we have it, right? So we already talked to the instructor together. So they will prepare this one more. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So I just put here, but this part you will learn from sports psychology or exercise psychology. So, and you will learn too. How about, I think I've already done it, right? See here. So this kind of example, right? To maintain their exercise, right? Client is actively involved in setting goal. How? Doesn't make sense. Because they are not expert, but they should be involved to maintain. So for example, like this, it means like this. How about resistance training? So you can explain resistance training is strength, endurance, hypertrophy, and power. And whether you want it, you are in this kind of like a classification. The strength is increase your strength, endurance increase your hypertrophy increase your muscle mass, power increase your power. So which one we would like to prefer? Like that doesn't make sense. If you do not explain this one, how can you exercise? We cannot say it, right? So you should explain very detailed and they give a chance to client to choose something. Doesn't make sense. But you can explain right too. Power prerequisite is strength. Strength prerequisite is hypertrophy. Hypertrophy prerequisite is endurance. So which one do you want? Actually, emphasis should be endurance, right? Doesn't make sense. But still be involved, right? But how about like this? I want to do endurance, but I really do not have time. Can you skip endurance, go to hypertrophy? So that case is right. Doesn't make sense. So we need this cut to maintain. And develop plan to meet the goal. This is goal. Strength is goal, endurance goal, hypertrophy, power, or cardiorespiratory, that is goal. And I don't know if sign a contract is a good idea, bad idea, but this is from our textbook, right? And realistic goal and plan, you will learn just the part, is right. And encouragement and feedback is right. I keep asking, how about, I think it's usually hard. Did you succeed? You offered 5 months? Yeah, I just keep asking, is right? Right. So this is the encouragement feedback, doesn't it? Yeah. I do not be interested in hard performance. Sorry, hard. However, to maintain the exercise, I keep asking, it's kind of my job, right? I'm sorry, I'm very interested.
I don't trust you.
And that kind of thing is help people keep exercise, but you learn from exercise psychology or sports psychology classes. And I think you remember it, right? Yeah, grip. We want together grip to increase grip. That one. I believe that is great. So we are almost done. How about right now? It's important thing is you need to certify. Is right. So right now you are student, but still if you want to like work at the gym, you need certification. Is right. Doesn't make sense. So certification is important. So how about we have only certification, but we do not have a license. Is right. So this is a kind of association, they provide certification, but I strongly recommend ACSSN or ACSN or NSC because they have official journal. So they are really association. But other association, I believe they call association, they are just company. They really focus their business. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. And this is the only question when I talk about certification and license. This is important. License may be better for protecting, this is important. Consumer, not professional. Is right. But many times we confuse, right? We do not have any license. That case, many times we just talk about this is our right. No, actually, it is people's right. Why we have license for people? Doesn't make sense. If we approach like this, we can get it right. But however, brain use is only still we have one say, oh, first, license settlement at the state level. Do you agree, right? Not national level, not national. Right? Yeah, doesn't make sense. Like a social worker from New Mexico cannot work at the California, right? Because at the state level. So this license is a state level. Only Louisiana has a license. So I'm a clinical exercise physiologist. So if I go to Louisiana, I can work for hospital. It doesn't exist. No problem. No problem. But here, I'm not clinical person here because it's not licensed. So it's very tough time to live, survive. More USA are considered required license for clinical physiologist and personal trainer, especially Las Vegas as well as Massachusetts. But they couldn't really set up this license yet. Can you guess which association against them? PT is the PT association. Yeah, doesn't make sense. They believe it's over. It's over. Yeah, we are almost done. Almost done. How about Dr. Gon, which certificate is recommended? Exercise physiologist or clinical exercise physiologist. Did you remember? Is right? Is right? Yeah. But how about see 5 years ago they changed name. There is health fitness specialist, exercise physiologist. Certified clinical exercise specialist, exercise physiologist, right? They changed name. Yeah, exercise physiologist. But you should know 1999, there are some association, American Society of Exercise Physiologists. They already have exercise physiologist as a certification, 1999. Right. HSN 2017 is right. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. But you should know. You should know. So here, please watch here. See, exercise physiologists. They didn't put the R mark. Is right. That is big mistake because name is really important. American College Spaces. I want that name is right. So this is why when they change name, they put R mark. So even they have this association, they set up 1999, exercise physiologists, they already have name, but they didn't put the R mark. Yeah. So HSM put the, what is this? Registered trademark symbol. So this is that association they initiated, but HSM is right now R mark. So HSM can sue this small association. So they cannot use exercise physiologist. Doesn't make sense. So it means this name is really, really important. And another one, NFCA, they're like a traditional name, such name is Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist, but they develop another name, launches another name, Sports Performance Scientist. Doesn't make sense. And to our mark, HSM exercise physiologist. Could you understand our trend right now? Not trainer anymore. The scientists, they produce scientists. The last slide is here, both of the HSN. So HSN given to the R mark is right. But how about this is the research training? I think this person and this person. Can you get what is the difference? Both of the HSN. Spotting technique. This is spot elbow and spot ribs, right? This is high risk. If she just doubled her face, like broke the teeth, she can sue. Even there injury occurred, but he used the ribs, right? So it's okay. Did you remember trainer? We should do or don't, is right? Doesn't make sense. See, HSM had to spend more time make a good content instead of put the R mark, is right? So it means even I said it's a very good association had official journal, but still is Right, too big, we cannot control it. I think it's also dangerous. So, thank you. Any questions? Any questions? No more questions. So, how about our exam? You must bring your computer. If you cannot bring computer, you can stay home or library. So, use the tube and camera on. Is right. Yeah, if you cannot do, please email me. I can accommodate. So, see you 1 o'clock. Oh, you can say, I think you are doing fine. I think I'm going to tell you, right? Okay. Choice. Oh, how about first exam? It's similar to your quiz.
Okay.
1, 2, and today. Yeah, not that face time. Okay. Our quiz is perfect. Thank you. I think you have so yeah, any questions? How about yes, so it's a my niece. She did really good job for 100 days. Only the last part. I'm sorry.
Got you looking down there.
This is one of them. This is very short. So she's my niece. 12 years old. This is national level 100 days. This is national.
Oh.
This is the last one. Yeah. But please see.
This was this year, huh?
Yes. See, she's relatively tall. So it's like start not good.
Yeah.
Start not good. But please see the maximum velocity. It's great, right? It's great. Oh, this is one. Oh, 200 meters. Yeah. But she didn't talk to me. It's terrible too. Oh, I think it's already done. So this is 100 meters too short, 200 meters too long. It's a specificity. So I gave her Slayer, so to increase those bodies.
Oh, so
Starting.
yeah.
They're on two, right? Then I checked the literature review. 40% of her body mass will not change her pattern.
Will not change your pattern. Huh?
Yeah, it's like a this straight pattern, right?
Yeah.
Because I do not want to change it, right? Yeah. So 40% of resistance I gave to her.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Heavier one is different.
Yeah.
Different muscle fiber.
Oh, smart.
Yeah. So I believe she'll be great. But she's only 11 years old. I believe she'll be very popular. This is why I just give it to her. I improve.
Yeah.
Train her.
Archaeologist.
Right.
Gold medal.
Right. So,
Yeah.
learn my
Investment.
Not diminishing marginal return.
Yeah. Genetics feeling the way up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that is great. See, we need measuring calories.
Yeah.
I know. I want to talk to you. So I was going to can I just start with the answer? Yeah, because we take it to you and me. So how about